Our second topic is knowing the difference between practicing, training, and competing. So Nolan, why don't you take it away?
I know, like, we all can probably speak this, like, how hard it is to not only compete, like, for a day, but if you try to compete for, you know, like, you just experienced, like, competing for 3 days on Wodapalooza, right, and how, like, that can take a toll, right, how those days are kind of reserved for probably, like, once, twice a month, right, and whereas, like, a lot of our time spent in classes and, you know, training, which it should be training or practice, right, where we're practicing those those new skills in a lower intensity, whether it be rope climbs, kipping pull-ups, right, because that's really how we are able to use those skills, like when it comes to game day, and, you know, then when we get further along with those skills, and it becomes, you know, training them in class, and not redlining and making those pull-ups look ugly, but focusing on making them look clean and, you know, honing in on those skills and being able to use them over and over and over again, not just blowing it out there, you know. I think too often, you know, people walk in or you see a score on the board and it's just compete every day, and that can lead to injuries and not really pushing the needle in the way that you want to, you know, and improving in the ways you want to, where I think, you know, in order to really push forward, it needs to be taking a step back and practicing and training more. So, I mean, Sean, you probably can speak to that a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot in terms of, like, the life cycle of an athlete from, like, they begin on ramp, and then they come into class, and it's today's wall balls and power snatches, and it's like, what is this power snatch? So for that person, it might be, you know, practicing for the first few weeks, months of learning the lifts, and then you have people who've been here for years, and we're talking from, you know, a year to 7 years, and they're more experienced, and that's learning and gaining efficiency within movements and training, but that doesn't eliminate practice. That doesn't eliminate anybody from getting better at a particular skill, not only just to get the skill to be better at fitness or exercising, but just the way that carries over to our life of slowing it down to improve. And I think we're all chasing progress in some different way, and that feels good for us. What would you say or have been the hardest things for you to gain that have taken the most time to practice for you specifically?
I would say probably the pull-up, which I still haven't been able to get yet. I can do a chin-up, but I can't do a pull-up. So, like, learning to take the time after class to do the little accessory work like we just talked about, knowing that it's not going to come if I don't put any extra work in, and being okay with the process being slow, because I look around and I don't know, like, you guys all have a pull-up, and I'm like, oh, I want it, but it's like you guys all started there too, and you took your journey to get there. So just being okay with that process has been probably a challenge the most for me.
For sure. Do you have anything on practicing, training, and competing?
I think to touch on that, it's knowing when to practice, train, and compete. So a lot of, like, what Nolan said, most of the day-to-day workouts that we do here should be focused on practicing, unless we, you know, specifically say, like, today's open style workout, like, go hard in something like that and get better that way. Whereas some days when we just focus on, you know, practicing a pull-up, those are days where we're really trying to move the needle in the right direction. And then when we get to certain workouts, that will apply to something, you know, like that. So it's knowing when to do each of those things.
Yeah, and I think, like, to kind of conclude it, it's like knowing the difference between the three. So, like, practicing is very low heart rate. I can focus on, if you're using a rope climb, just the
Put
footwork.
yourself in the corner.
Exactly. Repeating the footwork. Or if it's a double under, like, maybe it's just my timing or hitting the jump. You know, I'm not on the clock. There's no stress. I'm physically working at getting better at maybe a piece of it or the whole thing. And then training is kind of the bulk, practicing and training what we do day to day. Once you know how to do something, I know how to row, I know how to do a wall ball, well, let me apply these things, but I'm still actively thinking of the positions while I'm rowing or doing a wall ball. How can I be a little bit more efficient? And maybe that's the range of living up to 80, 85%. And then competing is those rare times where we say, we want you to take some chances. We want you to go as fast as you can here, maybe go as hard as you can here for your ability as a human, where you're kind of blurring those lines of your physical intensity, and you learn and you grow from that. But to do that every day, like you and I know, we did that in the past a lot, every day. You reach burnout, you physically you break down, that's not sustainable. So, that mindset of most of our time is training, practicing to improve, and then when it's called upon, we can compete, we can take our bodies and minds to this really special place and tap into some new stuff.